Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first podcast, Everything Under the Sun podcast with Sudarshan, my husband, and Rachana.
And for our American viewers, Sebastian and Rachel.
So that's our Starbucks name. That's what we go by. So that's interesting, right? The fact that we use American names in Starbucks because people mispronounce our names or say something like completely ridiculous, which our names are not. I want to ask you, what's the most ridiculous? I know you're laughing, but what's the most ridiculous name you've been called?
Oh, isn't this a family show? I don't know if I can say all those things now. Okay. Oh my God. Most ridiculous name. Oh, I've been called many ridiculous things by people. Starbucks instance again. I thought that maybe my actual name Sudarshan is going to be very difficult for them to pronounce, so I thought I'll cut it short. And so back home in India, where we are actually from, they call me Sud, which is the first three letters of my name, SUD. So I thought maybe that will help the people at Starbucks to pronounce my name. And I gave the name, and then I was waiting for my coffee, and I suddenly hear this noise, Sud, Sud. I was like, I don't know, maybe this is someone else, and then it hit me that, oh my God, they're trying to say my name, and they butchered it way more than I thought. So that was one, and then the most embarrassing one was uh, I think we were trying to book a kayak rental, and we were trying to give the name over the phone. So the lady who I was talking to, and at the end she was like, "So what's the name?" And I was like, "Sudarshan." And she was like, "Is it seduction?" I'm like, "No, it's Sudarshan." And she took a couple of seconds and she was like, "Oh, I see, seduction." She didn't change anything. It's the same thing. This happened three times, and at the end, I was like, "Yeah, that's right. That's my name." So I just changed my name to Seduction after that.
No, you didn't.
And
You go by Sebastian
yeah,
or
I go. That's my
Sudarshan.
No, it's just Sebastian.
Sebastian.
Yeah,
Sebastian Harvey.
Harvey. Yeah, that was actually the name on my birthday cake that my friends gave me.
Yeah,
So
Sebastian Harvey.
Sebastian Harvey. Yeah,
There you go.
a European brown Indian.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, that story never gets old, no matter how many
I
times you
know.
say it.
I know.
So,
And I'll ask the same thing to you. What is the worst pronunciation? Oh, I think I was a witness of that a couple of times.
I don't find it so amusing. I mean, of course, this is a different name. People have not heard it before, and it doesn't sound like any other English name. So people just, I guess, try to make it sound closest to whatever English word they've heard. So I've heard Rakail. No.
Rakena.
Rakena. It's so
Rakena.
funny.
Yeah.
Rakena, I've heard. Uh, Rachana, which is I think the most common one.
Mm.
I don't know why the SH, but I guess it could be an SH sometimes in some names, but yeah, that's one. And some people just give up.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
they don't want to say my name because
Right.
they don't want to mess it up. People are really
Oh,
nice, they don't want to mess up, but
oh, I have.
but it creates some funny instances.
I have an experience for that. So I was once waiting in a doctor's room
Mhm.
where they were going to call me next, and there were a bunch of other people also in the waiting room with me. So I think it was me and probably three or four other white people. So.
Mm.
And then the nurse walks out with her writing pad, and then she looks at the name, and then I she is now playing a game of whose name could this be, and then she's just looking at everyone's face, and then I realized immediately because all the rest of them were white people, so it's definitely my name. So and
Yeah.
then I was like, it's me. I think you're looking for me. And she was like, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't want to butcher your name. I'm like, that's fine, this is not the first time. So yeah, that is an experience also.
Yeah, that I remember that one.
Yeah.
That was really funny. Yeah. Like whose name could this be?
Yeah,
Definitely not
right,
them.
right.
Probably you.
Yeah. Imagine if at that point I was like, I'm John. and then she would still lose her mind. Like, who else is this person's name? If it's not him. So yeah, yeah.
That would be a funny prank to play
I
on
know, I know.
them. Okay, this is a great segue to talk about how our journey has been in America as Indian citizens. We actually moved to America 7 years ago, and actually, today is the anniversary of. I don't know if you should drink water.
I'm sorry. Okay. I will just stay dehydrated for the rest of the podcast.
So, this is a great segue to.
This is not a great segue. The great segue is over. This is not.
This is not a segue. This is.
Just tell them everybody that she's there for 7 years. Just go on.
Yeah, we've been in America for the last 7 years, and actually today is the anniversary of the first day that I actually landed in America. Maybe it was a day earlier, but yeah.
Oh, I think today.
I thought it was second or third. I don't know which
Oh,
one, which day.
it was third. Oh yeah, probably second. I think
It's been,
second.
yeah, it's insane that we have spent majority of our 20s here, right? Hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were a bunch of 22-year-olds,
23. Yeah.
yeah, who moved here to go to college, to study, to do their masters in engineering in different um, areas, I guess. What
And
do you
universities.
why don't you tell everyone what you studied?
Okay, so I went to University of Colorado. I did my master's in electrical engineering, um, and now I'm working here. We both are currently in San Jose. I think we should have started with that. Nobody knows where we are.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, we are in San Jose right now, and I'm working at Stanford as an electrical engineer. So you go with yours.
I guess I was only asking what you studied. You gave me an entire.
No, because I was like, eventually, so if anybody is watching, so like,
Yeah,
okay,
you
he
want
studied in electrical engineering. Okay, what is he doing now? So I just saved some time, but now I wasted that by explaining why I saved the time. So
Okay.
go
It's okay.
ahead.
It'll be all worth it. So, what has been your, I guess, biggest learning or the best thing that happened to you during your last 7 years of living in America, moving here? Like something that you were like, that was amazing, and that's memorable. There's no right answer.
No, I'm not looking at the right answer. I was thinking, there's so many things that have happened, so it's
Yeah.
probably hard to
Mm.
just pinpoint one. I think it'll also be nice to give some background. Then we can like tell people that by comparison, this seems. I mean, that this is what we have felt or
What do you
seen in the
mean?
US. Like, so one of the biggest things I think I personally felt or thought that, oh wow, this is great, is I think the sheer independence, moving out and being independent, taking care of yourself, doing all the household chores. So we come from India, as I mentioned before, and a lot of people, even after you are like 25, 26 years old, you tend to still live with your parents. And at least for me, I can say that for the most part, they were taking care of most of the things. Like my mom was cooking food. We had somebody to help out with the laundry and stuff. So I didn't really have to do anything. And there were so many other people around. So if anything were to happen to me, we had help, and I didn't have to like figure things out on my own. So after I came to the US, that was a big thing because I was the one to take care of the and do the laundry, cook food, like pay the electricity bill, and so on and so forth. So there were a lot of things that we had to learn, and I'm very glad that I got to experience all of that, because I think that is very essential. And so that's probably a big thing for me, I think.
I so agree. Independence, right? I think that's just also a very American dream where you work hard, secure jobs, create some financial security for yourself, learn how to live in the real world, pretty much adult. And that's also true for people in their 20s anyway, right? You're right out of college, you're entering the real world, and you're like, there's so much to figure out. And doing that in a completely different country
Right.
was a challenge, but super fun. And I think it's really made us the people we are today. Those experiences and those things that we have learned. You're right. We lived a very cushy, comfortable life before this, without any responsibilities. I agree. Yeah. What have been your most fun moments while you were in America? What were uh, your best memories?
Um, my best okay. I think, I mean, this is not my best memories, but one of the best ones at least is that. So I was very lucky in that I found very good roommates during
Mm.
my masters. So it didn't feel like I was out in a country way
Yeah.
further away from my home country.
Mm.
So we were like so close, and we didn't know each other before. So we all just happened
Mm.
to come,
How rare.
right, very rare, and we were like we were having dinner together. We were just being extremely friendly, and we
Mm.
never once fought over
Ah,
anything.
yeah.
So that was a sort of that I think you can say that that made my master's life easier,
Mm.
because it didn't. I mean, it felt nice to come back home. I think to spend time with them and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So that was um, one of the best or good memories that I've had,
Yeah.
living with my roommates at the time.
Yeah, I guess what I'm understanding is you literally created a family from your friends when you came here, which is why you probably didn't feel as homesick as you would have probably
Yeah,
if you didn't have good friends, good
right,
roommates.
right.
Um, yeah.
And I think that is very important, because in a place where you are not familiar with, or you don't know a lot of people, when things are going fine, I think it's okay, even if you are
Yeah.
by yourself. But when something doesn't go your way, and you can only count on your friends who
Yeah.
are next to you, because your parents or your relatives are far away, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they can't come immediately to help you. So I think having that sort of a good friendship, is nice. And I think I was very lucky in that. So I count my blessings whenever I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Um, I think when I first moved, I wasn't really emotional about leaving home. I felt like, yeah, this is different. This is exciting. I think I was more excited
Right,
than nervous when
right.
I was flying, and I was like, what is this new world that we've seen in television shows and movies?
Mm,
And you know how it's portrayed. It's obviously not, no country the way it's portrayed is actually true, right? Whether it's America or India or anyone, anyway. But I was like, I was super excited, and I'm just remembering it was that starry-eyed 22-year-old when I landed in Phoenix. I was just looking around, like, what is this place? Look at the roads, look at the greenery. I mean, there's no green in Tempe. It was cactus, right? Cacti. But it was just super organized. I think that was like my first uh,
exposure to the US.
what's the word? First impression of
Mm,
America was
sure.
just how clean and how organized everything is. And I still feel that. I still feel like life is very comfortable, life is very easy, and everything just works the way it should work.
Right. Except when you have to suddenly uh, get a doctor's appointment and end up going to a hospital instead of a clinic, and then you're smashed with a $10,000 bill. That doesn't seem the seem to work the way it
Yeah, I
should.
mean, sure,
That's the only problem I have.
there's pros and cons, I guess, of
Yeah.
every country, and that's definitely a big one.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. I think I was very I think I always say that, or I consider myself very lucky because of the kind of life that I've had so far, the people that were in my life, and what I'm doing, even with respect to my job. So I started working just before COVID hit, so I was lucky in that.
Mm.
And then I seem to be in a job which doesn't seem to be affected by constant layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think I'm lucky there. And then
Oh yeah.
also, I think the biggest thing is the amount of travel that I've done in the US.
Mm.
Um, I think I'm I think I'm very lucky in that regard because we have seen quite a few places
Yeah.
in the US. So
Way more than India, right?
way more, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess it coincides with the fact that one, we started making real money when we came here and started
right.
doing our first
Mm-hmm.
jobs. So that's when we started actually spending money, and I don't know. I guess there's something about um, like being in a being in a country which has gorgeous locations, and also you can afford to go on vacations and see beautiful places. Actually, even I remember, like, I think the first vacation, it was not even a vacation, it was a short trip that I had. It was just like an hour drive away. Like,
Yeah.
such amazing and beautiful locations spread across America. We've lived, by the way, in several different cities
Yes.
um, over the last 7 years. I think for me it was Arizona, New York, New Jersey, Tennessee, and now California. I think that was the most, and I've seen. I think the fact that we've moved around a bit also contributed to our being able to travel more.
Oh
Don't you
yeah,
think?
sure, of course. I mean, it's so now that we are in the West, it's really hard to decide and go to like Miami, for instance. There's so much resistance. I'm like, oh, let's just go to Hawaii. I think when we were on the East Coast, it was the same feeling. I'm like, I don't want to go to Seattle now. Let's go there when we move because it's
Yeah.
like a 5 to 6 hour flight. I'm like, I am not doing that. So
It's insane that it's a 6 hour flight from New York to San Francisco,
right.
and a 6 hour flight from Bangalore will take you to.
Or you can probably add two
I
more hours and you can go to Europe.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And like I think Dubai is like a 3 hour
Yeah,
flight, so it's insane how vast this country is.
I think, but I guess that's what makes it so beautiful, which has a lot of
Right,
landscapes.
like
So
beaches and mountains
yeah,
and snow, the Rocky Mountains in Colorado.
right.
Uh, what else? The deserts in Arizona,
Oh,
Joshua
everything.
National
Yeah,
Park.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
incredible. We've had a good 7 year run so far in America,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
We've had, I think, our highest highs and also our lowest lows. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we've gone through some really difficult times.
Yes.
Not get into details of it, but I think it all adds to the beauty of the experience living here. Like, I mean, imagine if all we did was just lived our life like in a fairyland. Everything's going amazing. Everything's a high.
Yeah,
I don't think we would appreciate it as much. So I think
I
we had a
agree.
good balance of both.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, having the lows kind of makes the highs even higher.
Yeah.
So I think you need to have that. Otherwise, you can't always just. I mean, yeah, I think a good mixture of both
Hmm.
kind of gives you an appreciation of the good and the bad.
Yeah, like the saying goes, right? Like, only a traveler who has been walking and traveling in like a hot weather in hot sun and hasn't had water in a long time, if he finds a big nice tree and a shade, how much he's going to appreciate the shade,
Oh
or
yeah,
a pond of water, how much he's going to appreciate the water to drink and cool himself down and rest. So you got to have both. I guess, yeah, just talking about this is making me realize that I mean, I'm so grateful for everything, the good and the bad.
yeah. I mean, you bring up a funny point because I started to appreciate the sun after coming to the US.
What do you mean?
I mean, in India, we were getting sun 365 days of the year,
Mm.
and it was not nearly as cold that you would appreciate the warmth of the sunlight. So I never felt like I missed it. So when I came to the US, and then I directly came from Bangalore, which has a similar weather to like San Diego and Mexico, to Colorado, one of the coldest places. So combine the lack of sunlight with the cold, and the next day, even if it is snowing or if it has snowed, but you still see some amount of sunlight, you are so excited.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, now I'm very appreciative of the sunlight, which I did not have before.
Right?
So that was interesting point I found.
What you said so beautifully, what I heard is like the seasons of the year
Right.
make you appreciate every single one. You appreciate the snow and in the winter, the cold weather because it's so beautiful and you don't have access to it. It's temporary, right?
Right.
But you also access the sun because that is also temporary. And it's a
Yeah.
seasons of life
Yeah.
and seasons of the year.
But not to. I mean, India has seasons too. Bangalore has seasons also. It also
Yeah.
rains but it doesn't snow, and
Yeah.
not nearly as cold as any of the
It's
places in the
tropical.
US.
It's like
It's
Hawaii, which is sunny all
exactly,
year
yeah,
round. Yeah.
right. So, and since we had never traveled before, Bangalore was all, or Bangalore and like the rest of India that we traveled when we were kids, is the only thing that we had any reference. So
Hmm.
we never went to another country before coming to the US,
Hmm.
so we had no reference point.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very curious actually. If you could go back to your 22-year-old self, like, I mean, if you could see them right now and talk to that Sudarshan, what would you tell him?
Okay, before I continue, can I drink water?
Sure.
Like, thanks.
22-year-old self, if you saw him today, just go knowing how the last 7 years have gone for you, what would you tell him?
Hmm. I actually don't know. Um, I don't think as a 22-year-old I was um, like scared or afraid of something
Hmm.
at that time. So it's not like I was so afraid of it back then that now I have overcome that. So I can
Hmm.
go back and tell myself that don't worry, it's all going to
Hmm.
work out.
Hmm.
Because I don't think I ever uh, felt that way.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what I would go back and tell him. Maybe I
Okay.
have to think for a longer period of time to come
Yeah.
up with an answer, but
Yeah, sure. For me, the first thing that's coming up is brace yourself. This is gonna be an awesome journey. It's gonna be a roller coaster, but it's gonna be awesome.
uh, yeah, sure,
And
yes.
also, I guess there is so much anxiety in a. I think every 20-year-old, 20-something-year-old will experience some sort of an anxiety of like what my future is gonna look like, how much money I'm gonna make, will I settle in, will I get a job, who will I marry, will that
Mm,
work out? There's so much in our 20s in general, like there's so much anxiety. I guess I would tell my 20 or 22-year-old, um, brace yourself. It's gonna be a journey, and just have faith, I guess. A little more faith in the world,
mm.
in the universe, in yourself, that everything's gonna turn out okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, of course that makes sense.
Yeah, that
But
was just me.
I don't know. So that's the thing. I don't know if this is good or bad, but I never. I was very excited to come to the US. I
Mm.
was looking forward to it, just like you were. It's a new experience. It's a new place. It's a lot of things that we have seen in the movies and TV shows growing up. So sure, yeah. But I don't know if I ever felt anxious.
Mm.
I don't know if I ever felt scared. So most of the things that you said, I
Uh-huh.
never felt any of those things. So um, maybe, and also it kind of shows in the other things that I do and the way I conduct myself, I guess, is that for the most part I am just thinking about what's happening right now.
Yeah, that's a
Like
great
for
trait.
95% of the time I'm thinking about what's happening right now, and I think that's where we make a great couple, because she is always thinking about in the future,
Mm.
like what will my next 5 years look like, what will my next year look like, where do I want to be. I think that's great. But then she kind of misses out on the things that are happening right now.
Yeah.
And that's where I try to like pull her back in. And sometimes she asks me questions like, so what do you think of this in the next year? Do we want to do this or go? I'm like, oh, I had never thought of that. Okay, let me think of that. So that's where we kind of, find this common ground. And then like I pull her back and she pushes me forward. So I
Hmm.
think that's a great thing to have.
Yeah.
And that was not like a quality I was looking for in my wife. She just happened to have that quality,
Yeah.
so that just worked out. And again, I go back to this, I was very lucky in that also. But
Yeah.
maybe that's a reason why I don't think I was like, okay, what will happen in the next 5 years after I
Yeah.
go to the US, and then what will happen after. I don't think I ever.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I never got scared. And that's another reason why I hate the interview question, where will you see yourself in 5 years? Because I have no idea. Like, just ask me right now. What
I
role do
have
you
no
want to do?
idea what I'm gonna have for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's gonna be an
My
answer.
only worry. Oh, this is feels like a therapy where I'm talking about all the things that I'm worrying. So my only worry is like, what will be for dinner today, and if that is sorted, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if like for tomorrow afternoon, especially if I'm going to work on a Sunday night, that's the thing I'm thinking. Like, tomorrow, if lunch is sorted, so we cook. She cooks and I cook also. So if that is sorted, I'll have a good sleep.
Yeah, it's so endearing actually that it's the smallest things that you appreciate and you also look forward to.
Oh
It's
yeah,
I think for you it's like you said, food,
yeah,
sleep,
yes,
and your coffee.
yes, 100%. Not necessarily in that order, but I think coffee comes first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then good food.
Mm.
I'm one of those people who lives to eat, and not eat to. I mean,
Live. Yeah,
eat to
that's
live.
very
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah. So it's food. I mean, no, it's coffee. It's coffee that I make, not any
Mm.
coffee.
Mm.
Coffee,
Filter coffee from South
South
India.
Indian filter coffee.
Yeah, he
Coffee,
makes some
food, and
amazing ones.
yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. It's okay. Say, okay, you are
Go ahead.
appreciating me.
Coffee first,
No,
and
you
then
say something about
he
coffee.
makes he makes apparently the
No,
best coffee.
why that just
I
that's
have
not
to I
good.
have to be honest and truthful because I am not a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee at all. Have never in my entire life. I know there's very few people, but there are people like me who don't want or like to drink any coffee.
Yeah, okay, but
So I
don't
can't speak for myself, but I have heard
see.
amazing reviews from
That's
like
good.
I was coming to that. So like I've heard
Okay.
at least 15 people who've come home from all ages and all
I cater
genders.
to all demographics.
Mm.
But the thing is, when you enunciate apparently so much, it doesn't hit well. It's like, she's apparently a good cook, I think. But
So that you know because you eat my food.
no,
I've
but
not drunk your
see, but
coffee,
see,
so that's why it's different.
but the way you say apparently makes a difference. Okay, that was diversion we didn't want, but
It was fine.
so it was
Good.
coffee. Going back to order, coffee, good food, and then sleep.
Are your three
Yes.
most important things that you look
I
forward to every day?
I
He lives
think
every
so.
day as it comes, and that's such a beautiful quality. And you are so right about sometimes I'm planning the future, like where do I want to be? Who do I want to become? What are my goals? How do I plan my future in such a way that and I can start working on them right now? I think that's a good trait because you're proactive.
Right.
You're looking at it from a perspective like, okay, if I want to be super healthy and fit in 10 years when I'm 40, 50, 60, what do I need to do now? I guess like that's a
Yeah.
simplified version, but if you can sometimes I mean I can sometimes forget to live in the moment and live in the present, and that's where he pulls me back and like
Yeah.
just chill.
Yeah.
Just enjoy this food. Just enjoy the scenery.
Yeah.
Enjoy this conversation.
Right. Right. Exactly. So, but I
Yeah.
admire the quality that you bring to the table as well,
Mm.
because sometimes when you ask me a question about something in the future, with respect to just you or me or us, and then it makes me think. So after I get the answer, I'm like, oh my god, how this is so stupid. Why didn't I think of this? Or why did I think of asking myself this question? And what would have happened if you had never asked me that question? So sometimes those kind of thoughts come to me, and then I forget because I go back to living in the moment again. And then the next time it happens, I'm like, oh no, why did I not think of this? Like, yeah.
No,
So,
I just admire that quality of yours so much that you are just always open and willing to take feedback, I guess. Feedback or um, willing to be challenged.
right.
Or like if I ask you some tough questions, like, hey, have you thought about this? Like, what about this specific thing in your career a couple of years down the line? What do you think is the
That
right way
has
to go?
changed, by the way.
Yeah.
It was not always like that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember a few times when you used to ask me such um, critical questions or sort of like hard hitting questions.
Uh-huh.
I did not want to be in a position to face reality, I think. So when you asked me those questions, it made me want to go there. So I just lashed out at you. I'm like, don't ask me, don't talk to me now. Please, just no, it's not the time to talk, or something I said, and then I just brushed it aside. But later on, I started to realize that it's nice that you ask me those questions, because yeah, it
Yeah.
brings out some uncomfortable feelings in me sometimes. But it's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. But I was not always like that.
Hmm. So you're saying that you are more willing to hear either feedback or hard-hitting questions from me now than before?
Yeah, because I think now I know more that if you ask me those questions, you're not coming from a negative aspect, or you're not
Yeah.
coming from
A critical way of
critical.
like,
you're,
how can
you're
you
just
be this way?
challenging me
Yeah.
in a good way, because at the end of it you want good things to happen
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
So that I've realized slowly. uh, and that sort of,
I'm glad you realized
yeah, I know,
this.
and that sort of
That
tweaked
I actually
my,
care about you and I want you to win
yeah,
and succeed and be
didn't
happy.
happen immediately, but took some time. But I just had to tweak my thinking to kind of, you know, go
No,
with your questions.
you're right. I mean,
Because nobody has ever asked me those
I don't
questions
do this
before.
to everyone.
Right. And nobody has ever asked me those kind of questions before. So I think it sort of felt like, how can you question me? I think that's where I was coming from. How can you ask me things like these? So I think at some point it was also ego that I had. Like, what? How do you ask me? Don't ask me such questions. And that's sort of.
No, that's so great that you first of all that you're recognizing that, hey, those questions may like kind of hit my ego and made me feel like, why am I not thinking or doing this?
Yeah.
And immediately like that was your immediate reaction.
Yes.
But then you're like, oh wait, that's actually a valid point that I could consider. Is there an
Right.
example
Um.
you want to share?
No, actually, I can't think of it suddenly now.
I can think of a couple of examples, but I would think they're quite personal. So that's why I was not
That's
sure if you
probably
didn't
why I
want
didn't
to
want
show.
to bring it up.
Yeah.
Not on the first one, at least.
Yeah, not on this first podcast. You guys have to wait
Yeah.
until you actually get to know us.
To earn your stripes and then get the whole content.
Oh, as in get to know us really well, like who we really are.
Yeah,
Not during the
not
very
now.
first. Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
It's gonna come in layers, like
Yeah.
an onion. Not yet.
Thank you, everybody, for clicking on this video and taking, I don't know how much our time this is, 30 minutes of your time to listen to what we have to say. A normal couple from San Jose sharing their life experiences in America. So hopefully we will do many more podcasts like this talking about other things. So hit like, share, and subscribe with anybody who you think might relate from this. And give us more topics if you want us to talk about. And all right, bye everybody.
Wait, I have something to say.
Sorry. Take two.
No, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I guess I would just add that let us know what you related to with what we spoke about.
Yeah.
Who you agreed with, disagreed with, your experiences, your questions.
Yeah.
Like you said, more topics to talk about, because this is the Everything Under the Sun podcast. So we'll be talking about everything under the sun. Whether it's him, I might have some other people as well, but
Sure.
we want to do some more podcasts. So
also, only positive comments. Don't leave any negative comments. We'll just block it. Okay. Thank you.
That's right. He's right.
Yeah. Bye.